they wouldn't just swap them. Now Hamilton's got an immediate grace, 2 seconds behind Leclerc. Now is the time to swap them round, and you're as you want to be. 48 laps to go. Let's go and race now, rather than have this looming.
Sebastian will let you by next lap.
Leclerc's not going to settle for second in this Grand Prix. No chance. They're going to have to do it. They've got to swap them round now. It's the easiest place to do.
Lap 5 of 53 in the Russian Grand Prix here on BBC Radio 5 Live. That's Jolyon Palmer, the former Renault F1 driver, alongside me, Jack Nicholls. Down in the pit lane we have Claire Cottingham as we are on lap 5 of 53. Onto the brakes comes Carlos Sainz in 4th place in the McLaren, who is still in front of Valtteri Bottas. Bottas has been told it's critical that he gets past Carlos Sainz. He's 9/10 of a second away from the Spaniard at the moment. He's doing a good job. Lando Norris is he's dropping back actually a little from his teammate and Sainz in that 4th place battle. Vettel does the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, pulls his lead to Leclerc for 1.3 seconds. You're also going to have a tricky situation here, I think, with Vettel to a degree, where...
I would have got him anyways. But let's break away for another 2 laps, let me know.
By next lap.
Yeah, that makes sense then. I still don't understand why they let Vettel have the inside into turn 2. Bit messy, but they'll fix it apparently very, very shortly, and Leclerc will lead the race, and that's how Ferrari meant it. They got a 1-2. That's not saying they made hard work of it, considering they got 1-2 off the line. But fine, they're going to be 1-2 with the right order again soon,
and then they'll be allowed to race. As I was going to say, it must be a bit of a tough one to take for Vettel, because you qualified third, and you sort of want the benefits that come with it. They effectively weren't allowed to race at the start.
Yeah, it's a harsh one. It's an orchestrated lack of racing position.
So I would have got him anyways. But let's break away for another 2 laps, let me know.
Okay, so this is Vettel's argument now. He's now saying...
And let's pass by. So let's go close up.
With everything that's going on between them at Monza and Singapore last time out, they don't need Vettel, an orchestrated move to lead the Grand Prix. Now Vettel's arguing his case, saying, well, either way I would have had him. They should have sorted this before. You either orchestrate the start, in which case you know Leclerc's your man, and whatever happens he's going to be given priority, or you don't, and they fight it out, and they're probably ahead of Hamilton. It's no surprise that they jumped Hamilton off the line. Everything that we spoke about before, the grit, the clean side of the track, and the power, they didn't need to mess around with that. And Vettel right now, leading the Grand Prix, doesn't want to get out of the way for his teammate. So as you can hear, Valtteri Bottas in 5th position in the Mercedes, closing on Carlos Sainz, sending it up the inside into turn 2, and that's a nice move from Valtteri Bottas. He's 9 seconds behind his teammate Lewis Hamilton already on lap 7 of 53, so that has lost him a lot of time.
And let's pass by. You put me behind, I respected everything. We'll speak later. But now it's difficult to close the gap, obviously.
They orchestrate the start, and then they orchestrate that we want to see racing.
Yeah, we do.
So is this rubbish from Ferrari?
It's unnecessary. I can understand why they thought about doing it, but it's overkill on team orders. It's absolute overkill, and now they put themselves in a silly situation where the driver that's in front is going to have to yield the lead, and he plainly doesn't want to. Leclerc's 1 second away. He can't get much closer in equal machinery early on in the race. He can't do much closer than that unless Vettel starts to make a mistake or his tyres go away. It's difficult to follow. So, I mean, is he going to just disagree with the team orders?
You put me behind, I respected everything. We'll speak later. But now it's difficult to close the gap, obviously.
Remember to use overtake.
It'll turn out alright in the end, but this is a shambles. What are they doing? They didn't need to manipulate the start like that, because they were always going to be side by side into turn 2. Leclerc should have had the inside, and this would have all been avoided.
Trying to close the gap, let's divide. It's 1.4 behind.
Vettel being told on numerous occasions to let him by. Vettel has history: 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix, 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix. Thank you, Andrew Benson. he was the order was given at Red Bull to basically keep the positions as they were. Mark Webber ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Multi-21 was the order, and Vettel ignored it, overtook Webber, and that was pretty awkward. Max Verstappen's just overtaken Sergio Perez with a nice move around the outside of turn 3.
Do our target plus 6.
That's first second of the Grand Prix, extended the gap to Leclerc to 1.5 seconds, and now Hamilton is he's still 2.5 seconds back, but they can't allow Hamilton to get closer, otherwise it's more and more awkward for Ferrari through this change. We're just getting a replay of Verstappen going up the inside of Sergio Perez at turn 4, nicely done. They take a downshift on the exit of turn 3. It was bizarre from Verstappen, but it was a nice move. Difficult to defend outside of turn 3 into turn 4 there, and Verstappen finally passes Sergio Perez up to 7th place, 2 McLarens next for him. Fastest lap of the race, Sebastian Vettel out front. This is getting more and more awkward for Ferrari by the lap. It's mad. They've got a 1-2 at the front of the race. They were almost always going to be 1-2 at the end of the Grand Prix. Mercedes knew that to the point of literally choosing a different
Into plan C, Charles 1.9 behind.
and have now created more inter-team rivalry if it wasn't already. Vettel Radio.
You are the fastest car on track, head down, you're doing well.
You are the fastest car on track. Head down, you're doing well. It's a message to Sebastian Vettel.
I tell you what, this is Armageddon coming here at Ferrari. This is seriously bad news for Ferrari, ultimately for Sebastian Vettel as well right now. He's leaving the Grand Prix. This is going to be awkward at the end of the race when they sit down. If Vettel doesn't get out of the way right now and explain pretty clearly what's going on. Raikkonen's been given a drive-through for that false start. That's about right. It was just trigger happy, I think, on the clutch and a clear chop stop.
It's time now for Andrew Benson, BBC Chief F1 writer's rant of the day.
Okay, so the problem here for Ferrari is hit some radio.
We are looking to plan C, Charles 1.9 behind.
See, now they're looking to plan C.
We will do the swap a bit later on. Lewis is a bit close and we want to push now in the race, which we'll do later. Just focus on your race. Thank you.
To be able to do that, they don't know what the pace of the two cars will be the other way around. They've had an arrangement. Vettel's effectively been gifted accidentally a race a week ago, which has angered Leclerc. If you're looking long term for Ferrari, I think Vettel's playing a really dangerous game here. Just Leclerc's radio.
Charles, we will do the swap a bit later on. Lewis is a bit close and we want to push now in the race, which we'll do later. Just focus on your race. Thank you.
To me, without being, that's pathetic. That's a bit strong, perhaps, but that is, they've been, the Ferrari management and engineers have been bullied into this by Vettel.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to say. They now can't trust Vettel because they had an arrangement and he has failed to comply with it. And if they're looking long term for their driver choice, you know, Vettel's.
I completely understand. The only thing is that I respect it. I gave the slipstream, no problem. But then I tried to push at the beginning of the race, but I obviously decided, well, anyway, no problem. Manage the situation.
53. The pit stop window, I think you're back to what you said earlier, Jack, switching them at that point. Here's Charles Leclerc.
I completely understand. The only thing is that I respect it. I gave the slipstream, no problems. Then I tried to push at the beginning of the race, but I obviously decided, well, anyway, no problems. Manage the situation.
So Charles Leclerc, a week ago in Singapore, was quite irate over the radio, and now he said after that was wrong and he mustn't be doing that again. He probably didn't think he'd have to do it again quite so quickly, and now he's being like, oh yeah, this is fine guys.
Good lap, small things, be careful on initial throttle turn 2 exit, don't attack the brakes too hard into turn 8.
Ferrari are testing his patience, aren't they? He shouldn't have made that statement really on Thursday, should he? Because this is a lot more outrageous than the Singapore one. Assuming that Ferrari orchestrated it in the way that they knew Leclerc. Why did he defend? Why didn't Leclerc take the inside? And all of this is
pointless. Leclerc's leading the race from Vettel, and we're in a clean fight. As it is, it looks like we're in a fight now anyway. Vettel leading from Leclerc. Verstappen's catching up with Norris as well, but Verstappen is 23.5 seconds away from Sebastian Vettel, so he's nearly a pit stop behind the leaders, having started 9th. Overtaking is difficult on this circuit. He's just cleared Sergio Perez, but he's losing a lot of lap time. Kaylee says, using the hashtag BBCF1, oh, come off it, Andy and Jack. Andy, can we call you Andy now? You both wouldn't be giving up the lead of the race win because your team have asked, and I get that. You want them to. And Nick Hughes says Vettel's done nothing wrong. Fair overtake after a great start. But what we've learned from the radio, to be clear, is that Ferrari decided the plan was to let Vettel in front at the start and then to swap them back. That's the key part. Vettel hasn't just overtaken Leclerc with a great overtake. Leclerc's been ordered to let Vettel into the lead on the proviso they would then subsequently swap back, and now that swap back is not happening. That's why it's outrageous. We all want to just let them race, but if Ferrari are going to, orchestrate the orders like that, they've got to orchestrate the orders.
Yeah, it's another one that's just entirely favoured Sebastian Vettel right now, and Leclerc, the pole man, has been stuffed out of this one right now. Second place. I'll tell you what is interesting though, Vettel's got a lot of pace. Yeah, now he's got the hurry up. He's now 2.7 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc, 6/10 on the last lap. Here's Max Verstappen. He's going to have a big lunge here on Lando Norris. He is. That's a good looking move to sixth place down at turn 2. So Verstappen up into 6th, the top 10, Vettel, Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris, Perez, Hulkenberg and Magnussen. All this Ferrari drama unfolding on the pit wall. Watching it is Claire Cotting.
That team radio, when you get in an argument or something, you're like, no, it's fine, don't worry. No, it's absolutely fine. It's fine, don't worry, we'll talk about it later. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Ferrari telling Sebastian to put his head down and carry on and just race your race. I mean, it's bonkers. I'd love to know what's being said right now on that pit wall, because everyone's just with their heads down and not looking at each other. It's a little bit awkward.
Vettel is flying. He set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. He's going to set the fastest lap of the race this time around as well. He's got a gap up to...
Still on plan A.
In relative proximity to Vettel, if he wants to be let back through at some point. Yeah, Vettel does another fastest lap of the race, 4/10 quicker than Charles Leclerc. So you're absolutely right. Ferrari can orchestrate this in the pit stops if they want, but not if Leclerc's 3 seconds back. Then it's hard to do.
It's obvious to me what he's doing. He's trying to make a statement to say, I deserve to win this race because I'm the faster guy. Whereas Leclerc's behind him thinking, I'm going to get the race back in a minute. It's Hulkenberg.
We are still on plan A.
Well, that's the news we wanted to hear. Nico Hulkenberg in 9th place for Renault, still on plan A.
Leclerc's thinking, I don't need to push this hard right now. Whereas Vettel's trying, this is another sort of entitlement move, if you like, trying to persuade them not to do the swap after all.
He could well be just getting through his tyres pretty quickly as well, just to really extend the gap and prove his point about leading the race, or he might have better.
Your front right tyre is on the warm side. The other 300.
To Hamilton, because by qualifying pace, that's exactly what he would be doing. But Hamilton's still there, 3.5 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. He's just done the fastest first sector of anyone in the Grand Prix. So those medium tyres now might start to be coming into their own for Lewis Hamilton.
This is a good point from Matt Tobal, actually, hashtag BBCF1. Why didn't they tell us that the sooner you let him pass, the sooner you can race and overtake Korea? If they do the swap at the end, he's then got no chance of winning the Grand Prix.
They won't be doing the swap at the end. They'll be doing it at the pit stop, or they won't be doing it at all right now. That's how it is. Vettel's made it perfectly clear he's not going to be getting out of the way. So either Ferrari can do it at the pit stop, or they can't. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix for Sebastian Vettel. He's about 3/10 on that last lap, and another 3/10 on Charles Leclerc. So it's relentless fastest lap after fastest lap. This time Hamilton's pretty much matched him though in 3rd place. So let's get back to this Ferrari v Mercedes now.
Mode 8, just to top up the battery.
Mode 8. Okay, leader's pace 39.0, and we're half second down in sector 1, and 4/10, 5/10 in sector 2.
Ferrari, but Lewis Hamilton's still there, 6.8 seconds away from the race lead on the different strategy. Ferrari are going to mess around in the pit stops.
they're only going to cost themselves a load of race time to Hamilton, who is still a threat. Lap 14 of 53 in the Russian Grand Prix here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Sebastian Vettel leads, having taken the lead at the start after Charles Leclerc relatively let him through on the understanding they would then swap back a couple of laps later. Vettel has refused to do that, so is still in the lead of the race. Hamilton in third, Bottas in fourth in the two Mercedes, but they're on a different tyre strategy, so we'll come into the Grand Prix later in the race. Carlos Sainz is in fifth place, Max Verstappen is sixth, Norris is seventh, eighth is Perez, ninth is Hulkenberg, 10th is Kevin Magnussen.
In front at 3.7, Hamilton behind 3.3.
On that 14 of 53 later on this afternoon, it's Leicester versus Newcastle, the 4:30 commentary here on 5 Live. Earlier on, Wales beat Australia 29-25 to go top of Pool D. Jodie and Palmer, myself, Jack Nicholls in the commentary box, and the BBC's chief F1 right transit lens. Down in the pit lane, it's Claire Cobbigan.
What I find fascinating is how much Charles Leclerc will be told that Sebastian Vettel isn't moving over. Do you know what I mean? Because last time out in Singapore, he said, "Oh, I didn't get told everything on the radio." He's basically saying, "Don't worry to the team, that's fine, I understand." But the team are going, "No, we're asking Sebastian Vettel to move." I wonder how much he's being fed as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hulkenberg's just got past Perez and up into 8th place with a nice move coming down into turn 13. The Renault driver with the DRS around the outside. Hulkenberg passed Magnussen as well. Remember, Magnussen passed him.
That's some serious space, man.
If you're Leclerc, you're kind of only getting one half of that story. You know, I wonder, like Claire says, how much of that subsequent conversation with Vettel is coming back to Leclerc. You know, are they doing he said, she said kind of thing? Oh, well, Vettel said this and then we said this to him.
These guys have some serious pace, man.
Hamilton saying these guys have some serious pace, man, regarding the Ferrari drivers out front, but they're on a softer tyre, so, and Hamilton just set the fastest lap of the race.
Exactly, Hamilton on that last lap has just done the fastest lap, and he's done another fastest first sector as well. So right now, Vettel still eking the gap out to Charles Leclerc, 3.6 seconds, then another 3 seconds back to Hamilton, who's still there on the slower tyre, as you said, Jack, but actually starting to lap quicker than the two Ferraris as well. So he's going to bring that Mercedes back into play. The other thing at the start, we don't know exactly what the order was. Maybe.
Feel free to increase the right side a little bit through turn 8.
No, I'm not holding my vaccinated, it's just not a lot of good.
Sebastian will let you through on the next lap. Sebastian let Charles through.
That's pretty clear cut, isn't it? And defying team orders, it's pretty much a no-go if you want to keep everyone happy in the team. Keep yourself happy, maybe not, but you've got to do it, and this is going to be awkward at the end. I hope.
Ben asks, seriously, please can someone more informed than me please explain why Vettel was allowed to take the lead at the start if Ferrari had predetermined Leclerc should win? It seems very unnecessary and complicated.
No, he's absolutely right. That is unnecessarily complicated.
Crazy. We can't explain it.
We can't. It's crazy. They thought that Mercedes were going to be a big threat down to turn 2 with the slipstream. Fact is, they weren't. The soft tyres, the clean side of the track, the massive power.
And you can push now.
Hard as well. So I didn't ever see that Mercedes were going to be in the mix down to turn 1. But Ferrari obviously did. They orchestrated it, but then they orchestrated it in a shocking way to let Vettel through on the inside. Let Leclerc cover the inside, take the lead at turn 2, and we're all absolutely fine here. But, as they did, they made an absolute hatchet job of it.
And you can push now.
Okay, so Leclerc being told you can push now. Whether that means they'll be coming into the pits fairly soon, are they going to try and undercut Leclerc with Vettel? Is that the way Ferrari are going to try and do it? Vettel comes across the line once more to set the fastest lap of the race. Charles Leclerc is 4 seconds behind him in second position. Hamilton is 7 seconds back from Vettel and only 3 back from Charles Leclerc. Bottas is in 4th position. So Leclerc's now been told you can push. Let's see whether that means anything to Leclerc, whether he has the pace to push, whether he even has the pace to sort of match Sebastian Vettel at the front of this Grand Prix. Lap 17 of 53. Lewis Hamilton still leading the championship by 65 points. This will increase his lead over Valtteri Bottas and make it even more likely that he will wrap up the title a little bit later on this season.
Hulkenberg pits in the Renault. from 8th, I think. 8th. You're right, he passed Sergio Perez. So Hulkenberg's the first to pit from the soft tyres, and switch on to a set of mediums. Really, really bad pit stop for Renault. Their left front didn't want to go off at all, and that's going to cost Hulkenberg. They dropped him down before the front left was off. They dropped the front jack down while the front left tyre was still coming off. So as a result, they couldn't get it off. Meanwhile, Verstappen is up in the 5th place. He's got past Carlos Sainz, but he's 35 seconds off the lead of Sebastian Vettel in the lead of the Grand Prix. So the top 3 all have a free pit stop, basically, to be ahead of Verstappen. Verstappen's not going to be a factor in this Grand Prix without a safety car right now, isn't he?
I'm feeling some deck.
This degradation looks low. We're going to go target plus 15.
Target plus 15 for Lewis Hamilton. That's 15 laps more than they were planning on doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's basically Mercedes switching to a soft tyre instead of a hard tyre. So they don't have any new soft tyres left in the Grand Prix. So will they go for a new hard or a used soft? And I think that's basically them saying, okay, we'll go 15 laps longer, we'll go for a soft at the end to be more racy than switching to a hard tyre. Deck's low, Vettel's done another fastest lap of the race, and Leclerc at the moment hasn't been able to up his pace to match it. But yeah, interesting that Hamilton on the medium top's been very, very low.
That's going to be something.
Hamilton saying he is feeling some degradation on his tyres, so he's maybe not quite as confident of...
Don't lose time unless you think you can hold them up for several laps.
That's 15. If they were going to stop a roundabout now, would take you to lap 35. I would have thought they'd have been going longer than that anyway, so they're probably going to... It feels like it might be super aggressive, then maybe just with 10 laps to go, pit for the soft tyre, something like that.
Yeah, it's a really long way that he's going to be going into the race now. But that's going to unfold in a long while then. They're still putting in personal best sectors, both Leclerc and Hamilton. The gap's pretty stagnant now, 3.8 for the lead, Leclerc behind Vettel, and then another 3.3 Hamilton off Leclerc. Valtteri Bottas is sort of wilting in 4th, never really got going to match that early pack. He's 10 seconds away from Lewis Hamilton and 16 off the lead of the race.
So Sebastian Vettel out and across the line to start lap 19 of 53 in the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi on the shores of the Black Sea in one of the most eastern points of Russia. And it is Sebastian Vettel who's leading the Grand Prix controversially after Charles Leclerc sort of let him through at the start on the assumption that they would be swapped back, and they have not been swapped back, and Hamilton is still in the fight, only 7 seconds back from Sebastian Vettel still. So the Mercedes is really pressuring the Ferraris here, and at the moment I'd almost say favourite. If I was asked right now who's winning this Grand Prix, I think I'd say Hamilton. Maybe that's a bit bold.
That's very bold. Right now, Ferrari, I think they're looking very good. They've still got a good gap to Hamilton. I mean, comfortable enough, and it's going to come into play later on when Hamilton changes tyres, and it's going to depend on the degradation of the Ferraris at the front on the soft. But Leclerc's just done his personal best of the race, so no sign of his soft tyres going away right now. His personal best, though, still slower than Sebastian Vettel on that last lap by just a couple of hundred. This is the sound of Alex Albon down.
There's something definitely wrong with the brakes.
Understood.
He got some pace in the Red Bull from the pit lane, and now he's heading towards the top 10. A correction, one of the most westerly points of Russia, not one of the most easterly. Not an ideal country to get that wrong in either, otherwise you'll end up in Vladivostok or something. With now 20 laps on the board, and this is Alex Albon's radio.
There's something definitely wrong with the brakes. I'm absolutely smashing the pedal.
Understood.
Albon saying there's definitely something wrong with the brakes. I'm absolutely smashing the pedal, and presumably still not getting the amount of braking that he would want.
Yeah, lack of retardation then on the brake pedal. You hit it really, in Formula 1 you hit the brakes with a maximum force, and you do stop pretty quickly. He's going to need them right now, trying to pass Pierre Gasly again down towards turn 13, and can't do it.
These guys are so fast, man. Pushing.
Hot brake temps following these cars as well, and you lose a bit of bite, the pedal goes a bit long, and you have to hit it that much harder to get the same pressure.
these guys so far.
He's closing the gap, Lewis Hamilton. That was him still whining about the Ferraris being very quick, but Hamilton's now 2.9 seconds, so he's closing it slightly. But Ferraris are quick. Hamilton's on the slower tyre, so at which point do you get the trade-off where the medium is now quicker than the soft? And Leclerc, after being told to push, 3 or 4 laps ago, has dropped further back from Sebastian Vettel. The gap went 3.7 seconds when he was told push now, to 4.3 seconds at the present time. Yeah, this race is getting away from Leclerc right now because it doesn't look like he's got the pace of Vettel. And Vettel is, with every lap, basically just eking out the gap by 1 or 2 tenths. And Leclerc doesn't seem to have an answer, even though he's had a hurry up from his engine.
Face behind.
Now
2.5 tenths. Vettel ekes out the gap, and Leclerc, they're not going to swap this round. And the pit stop, but now, if you're Ferrari, you think, why should we? Because they're faster drivers out front. If they swap them round, you've got Leclerc, the slower driver, leading the race, backing Vettel into Hamilton as well. So Leclerc's got to up the pace if he wants to be entitled to this win now. Wow, fascinating Grand Prix unfolding in Russia without the Ferrari shenanigans. Wouldn't really be a huge amount to talk about. It's not a thriller of a Grand Prix so far, but just a bit of a slow burner that's definitely developing, especially when we get to the pit stop window. Lando Norris has just pitted for the McLaren team from 7th place, and meanwhile Gasly is still in 11th place ahead of Albon and Kvyat, so that battle is very close actually between the 2 Toro Rossos and the Red Bull of Albon that we were talking about a moment ago. Norris into the pit lane, and that means he's one of the sort of first of the midfield-ish runners to pit. Hulkenberg pitted, but he's going to be out of the running now because he lost a good few seconds at his pit stop. Yeah, lost a lot of time. Nico Hulkenberg. He's passed Antonio Giovinazzi, going a bit wide on the exit of turn 2 in the process, but he's made that move stick. The 16th place, and he's behind his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who had a big whack from Giovinazzi on the first lap and had to subsequently pit with a puncture. But Hulkenberg's race has been derailed by that slow pit stop. So Renault down in 15th to 16th, having made a stop. Norris comes out comfortably clear of them. That's 22 of 53. Sebastian Vettel still leading the Grand Prix. That last lap, Charles Leclerc was 0.2 of a second quicker, but Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place on the medium tyres was quicker than both of the Ferraris. Chipped away another 0.2 of a second to Charles Leclerc, and Vettel's now got a bit of traffic.
So next car behind you is Nico now. So Nico 2 seconds behind you. Let's not hold them up. Nico 1.7 seconds behind you.
Okay. Should I find the RF on the main straight?
But we also don't want to lose too much time. We can still do some work in this race.
McLaren. So the midfielders that started on the soft tyre are all now pitting, leaving only Max Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen, who opted to start on a soft tyre but a new one because he didn't qualify in the top 10, and then the 2 Ferraris out front still going on that tyre. Andrew Benson, Alex Winnington says, #XF1, this all goes back to Monza. Seb clearly feels that Charles owed him a toe in Q3 and didn't. That put him out of contention for the win. This is payback. Just remind us of that incident and whether you think that's sort of true.
Well, you just summed it up. Didn't he get payback in Singapore, effectively? He was in the dirt.
Get your head down. We are going to be extending.
Nice a shot.
My head is down, man. Tyres are good.
It's going to be Leclerc because Vettel's just come through and crossed the line, and Leclerc pits. So are they going to try and undercut Sebastian Vettel with Charles Leclerc here? So into the pits comes Charles Leclerc, and Claire is down there.
He comes past me now. They put him into the spot. They changed to the yellow medium. So he screeches up quite quick. Good stop there from the Ferrari boys, and they all had me head back out.
2.5 seconds that pit stop then for Leclerc, but he was over 4 seconds back. The undercut is not massive here. The undercut being when you go out on a new set of tyres and you're therefore faster on your shiny new tyres than tyres that have done 23 laps. Here's Hamilton's radio.
Okay, let's get your head down. We are going to be extending to rear tyres for shot.
What did you do to the air balance?
We made no change. No change.
Somehow I'm rattling out this place.
Nico.
Handling up inside now.
Copy that, Nico.
Medium tyres now, as Hamilton sweeps past Robert Cupid's shot to the back straight. He can still undercut Vettel though, of course. It'll just be 4 or 5 laps longer rather than 1 lap, which it was in Singapore where Vettel found 4 seconds. Leclerc won't do that around this circuit because Vettel's still ticking along at a pretty good pace. So if they want to undercut one driver using the other, Leclerc undercutting Vettel this time around, they'll have to go a good 5 laps or so longer with Leclerc, at which point then Vettel will come out with better tyres just behind. Vettel now into the final sector. Does he pit following his teammate? I don't think he has.
No, stays out to do another lap, Sebastian Vettel. So, Hamilton now through the...
My rears are falling off now.
incident where Vettel refused to stay behind Webber and disobey team orders. And whilst it's the principle is the disobeying of team orders, on that day Vettel was the faster and overtook for the lead when he was told not to, rather than, you know, it wasn't an identical situation where he was told to give up the lead and refuse, but it was still the disobeying of team orders
for the race lead. Yeah, so the situation was very different, but the team orders disobeying of Sebastian Vettel was the same. Here's Vettel's radio.
My rears are falling off now.
My rears are falling off now.
Classic. Hit me, I don't want to be undercut, thank you very much. He's playing the game, isn't he, Sebastian Vettel? I think he knows what's going on here, and he is a clever guy, that's a fact. I'll tell you what, his pace on the last lap was exactly the same as it's been for the last however many laps. I don't think he's suddenly going to lose a load of pace. I think he's just saying that to try and order his own pit stop to cover up.
We worry about Hamilton going wrong with the lap time 8.8.
And it's he's going to emerge onto the racetrack once more, and here's Vettel's radio.
We worry about Hamilton going wrong with the lap time 8.8.
So Vettel now being told we're worried about Hamilton going long. Alex Albon is going side by side with the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly, and he's trying to go around the outside, and he's just about pulled it off. Nice move from Alex Albon, and he's up into 8th place.
It's been a long time in the making, that, and that one was personal. Albon on Gasly. Gasly's let his former car go through in the hands of Albon. Now the Red Bull against the Toro Rosso. Of course, they swapped round in the summer break, and Albon started from the pit lane, has just passed his rival in the Toro Rosso. Nice move around the outside. They got so close, and Gasly did not give an inch. But Albon swept around. Again, it's so difficult to defend turn 3 into turn 4, that move. And Albon made the most of that one.
That's 25 of 53, so approaching half race distance here on BBC Radio 5 Live as we approach 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the Russian Grand Prix, Sochi, and Leclerc is looking fast.
1 second quicker than Vettel. Fastest up for the race for Charles Leclerc. This is undercut time now for him. He needs 5 or so good laps, and he can emerge ahead of Vettel once Vettel pits. So Leclerc can do that, but he's got 9 seconds of clear air still before he catches Valtteri Bottas, who's still having a very quiet, lonely race. 12 seconds off Hamilton. At the front, Hamilton's catching Vettel as well now, 4 tenths. Vettel's pace is not dropping, it's staying very consistent. Hamilton's just raised his own, matching his personal best on the last lap. And to me, this is Ferrari now dictating the race to let Leclerc back ahead, unless they're going to pit Vettel in this lap.
Yes, feel okay.
Understood, mate.
Keep pushing. Good job then. The positions would then be swapped back. Vettel then refused to swap back the positions. Leclerc has now made his pit stop and dropped to 4th place. Hamilton is second, only 5 seconds back from Vettel. His teammate Bottas.
Yes, feel okay.
Understood, mate.
Max is pushing.
Good job there.
Max Verstappen being told or saying that his tyres feel okay. Just a note on Valtteri Bottas quickly. He's not really in the fight, nothing really is going on with him. He's 12.3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, lost a lot of time at the start, stuck behind the McLaren, and finally got through. Was about 9 seconds behind, it's now come back to 12.3 seconds behind, so he's not really a feature in this Grand Prix at the moment, but Charles Leclerc is.
Well, Bottas could be soon, because Leclerc's catching him at a rate of knots. New fastest up of the race again, just 1 tenth quicker than his previous lap, but Vettel's dropping slightly, 3 tenths on that lap.
Sebastian box.
in the last few laps. Daniel Ricciardo's parked his Renault up and out of the race. But yeah, Leclerc now 1.7 seconds quicker on that last lap. Another couple of laps and he'll be able to undercut. In fact, he could almost do it right now, Leclerc, stay ahead of Vettel. But this is all in the grand scheme of Ferrari's race. They are now putting the guy that was slower in the first stint ahead. Oh, and so Vettel's been told to pit now at the end of this lap, where it is right on the brink of whether this undercut will work or not. 25 seconds you need. Leclerc is 24.5 seconds behind Sebastian Vettel. So this is going to be a bit of a tight one. Vettel fully on it as he comes into the pit lane and down to Claire Coffington.
Some passing now into his little slot with the mechanics all waiting for him to come out. He was quite slow actually getting into the spot that he needed to be, but they've changed it for the... trying to see which tires he put on. Surely it's got to be medium. Yeah, medium down now. So
press and hold overtake early to get gas on.
Then Charles Leclerc, this is Leclerc's radio.
And we need you to push this lap push.
Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix and order is restored at Ferrari. I tell you what, just as they come down into turn one, that's half a second, something like that. They weren't messing around there, Ferrari.
Yeah, it's closer to 2 seconds actually in the end, because Leclerc just pumped in a fastest lap of the Grand Prix again. And Ferrari had to pit Vettel in a way because Hamilton was closing up quite quickly. So as soon as they could fit him in, he was going to come out behind Leclerc. That was the best thing to do. But this fight's going nowhere. Now you've got Vettel, who's in that first stint shown that he was quicker than Leclerc. You've got him behind, and on fresher tyres as well. Vettel's going to be charging up and trying to fight for that position on merit now.
Stop the car now, stop the car.
Strategy of the Mercedes as well, and he's going to come into the mix later on. We're going to have a 3-car fight for the win here. Now have his Vettel's radio. Got no K, says Sebastian Vettel, presumably meaning the MG UK, which is a part of the car that recovers kinetic energy from braking, and he's slowing, and Vettel, is he going to be out of the Russian Grand Prix? Sebastian Vettel grinds to a halt, the Ferrari retires, he's out of the race, and that, some may say, is a little bit of karma, but the race is over for Vettel. Here's his radio.
Stop the car now, stop the car.
Stop the car. Is the order. Vettel has stopped the car now. That might bring out the virtual safety car, which may...
Got Vettel park the car.
Stand by.
Safety car a virtual safety car. Oh, it is. And now Hamilton could pit and emerge in the lead of the Grand Prix.
Wow, this has worked out really well for the Mercedes team. They might be able to pit both cars and end up not quite with a 1-2, because Leclerc's 8 seconds behind Bode. I think that's enough. But Sebastian Vettel out of the Grand Prix, and I mean, we're going to squash the conspiracy theories properly. He hasn't parked it in a place on purpose to get a virtual safety car so Leclerc doesn't win the Grand Prix. That's a step too far, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's parked in actually a sensible place, but the marshals have to wheel it back. The problem is the marshals can't go to the car. Vettel had a big jump out of it because it's not in a safe state to go and touch the car, I think, or it's in and on.
Sounds like been okay. Jenny had a little bit of understeer.
Copy, we're ready for you.
It was in Bahrain, certainly from the way that Vettel jumped off the car, and the marshals not hurrying over to it either. So the virtual safety car's not going anywhere, and Hamilton's in the pits.
Okay, so Lewis Hamilton comes into the pit lane for Mercedes. Claire Cottingham is down there. Clean stop here, they might win the Grand Prix.
he comes starting now, they put the red banded stop signs on. That is a fast stop for the Mercedes guys. He's back out.
2.6 seconds for Lewis Hamilton, who has now pitted. They're also waiting for Valtteri Bottas. Charles Leclerc is coming around the final couple of corners, but Lewis Hamilton is going to emerge still in the lead of the Grand Prix, and Mercedes have, with a bit of luck, taken the lead of this race. Where's Bottas going to come out? No, he is going to be behind Leclerc, but on pressure, soft tyres, not massively pressure.
The lead of the race, just respect that delta. So you are on the soft tyre with 25 laps to go. We made it to lap 26.
Whatever, they've managed to throw this race away.
Well, it's reliability. It's Vettel's engine failing that is the virtual safety car's ending now just as Hamilton's left the pits and he's just coming through sector 1. So if it was 30 seconds, 40 seconds short of the virtual safety car, it wouldn't have made a difference right now. But that virtual safety car was the perfect window for Mercedes. Vettel's car failing has given not only one Ferrari out of the race, but it's meant that the other one's not in prime position. He's got a lot of work to do to win this one. And in the wall is George Russell. George Russell is in the wall, and the safety car, the virtual safety car actually ended there. I think it just about had, and Russell has seemed to have gone straight on down at turn 7. So he's presumably got very cool tyres, and as the virtual safety car's ended, he's just lifted up and got it wrong. Well, he's locked up, massive lock up on the left front, and gone straight into the wall reasonably heavily. And is that a big braking zone? No, it's not a big braking zone at all, that one. And it didn't seem to release the brakes either. Big lock-up, and safety car's back out again. Okay, and Ferrari maybe are going to go aggressive here. With the safety car coming out, are they going to pit Leclerc for a set of soft tyres? They've got a free pit stop back to Max Verstappen, who's pitted as well. So, Verstappen's back in this race as well. With a full safety car, that's closed everyone up. Leclerc is looking like he's going to pit out of second place. Yeah, he doesn't have a free pit stop to Bottas though, so he'll still come out behind both Mercedes. And he hasn't pitted. Okay, he hasn't pitted. Yeah, sorry, he would have let Bottas through, but he's got a pit stop to stay third. He's on the medium tyre compared to Hamilton out front on the soft. Would he give up track position?
12.
Bottas is on a new soft tyre as well.
This is the sound of Sebastian Vettel. A few moments ago, losing power in the Ferrari from, as I say, the motor that takes kinetic energy from the brakes and turns it into extra power. Andrew Benson, BBC's Chief F1 writer.
Why didn't they get Vettel to come out of the pits? I'm astonished. The engine was still going.
Well, they asked him to stop the car.
Yeah, but why? They've thrown the race away by doing that. If they'd got into the pits, they wouldn't have needed to have a VSC. Hamilton wouldn't have got ahead.
Yeah, but can they get to the pits? I don't know.
Well, if it's just the MGUK, yes, you can get to the pits. You get there slowly, but you can get there now. It's going to damage the engine, and maybe they're thinking we don't want to damage the engine for the next race in Japan. But really,
you could have tried harder to get out of the pits.
So you're doing good on managing everything. We'll get this tyre to the end. We'll get the good temp. We'll get after the restart, and we'll get the rears to the end. Okay, you have Sainz ahead, Norris behind. Their tyres are 7 laps older.
Has meant that there was a virtual safety car. Hamilton leads the race. I don't know whether he would have definitely made it round, because potentially it was more than just an MGUK issue. Because an MGUK issue, probably you can drive on round and I mean. Ricciardo won the Grand Prix in Monaco with that in 2018, last year.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably something more serious.
So, lap 30 of 53, safety car deployed. Thomas Knights says, yet another race completely and utterly ruined by pit stops under the virtual safety car. In Formula 2, you're not allowed to pit under the virtual safety car or the safety car. But here, in Formula 1 you can. Is there a point there, or that's just, that's racing?
We've had some great races with pit stops under the safety car though. So sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. China last year, Daniel Ricciardo won the Grand Prix, was running sick, and
Leclerc's pitting. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari comes into the pit lane now. So what are they going to do, Ferrari? And well, Leclerc can't him down there.
They're going to change him to the soft, so they're changing the tyres now. He's in his spot. Again, a fine stop of, I reckon, about 2.6. You've got the data in front of you, but he's back out, so they're going to go soft.
That's a good internal chronometer you got going there. 2.5 seconds will let you off that 10th of a second. Leclerc's going to emerge still just in front of Max Verstappen. So, in fact, comfortably in front of Max Verstappen in third place. They'll all bunch up behind the safety car. So Ferrari have decided that, yes, they do want to sacrifice the position to Bottas to put Leclerc on soft tyres for the last...
What's that last year?
Yeah, all on stop.
And we saw last week Hamilton effectively did the same without a safety car, but he sacrificed position to Verstappen to have better tyres, which ultimately he couldn't overtake Verstappen again with anyway, and finished off the podium when he should have been on them. Leclerc's done a similar thing here. He's given up position to Bottas, but now he's on better tyres. He's not really on better tyres than Bottas though. He's on better tyres than he already had, but Bottas pitted at the same time basically. They're both on the soft tyres, and so Ferrari are basically backing Leclerc's pace and ability to overtake two Mercedes to do that. One Mercedes and then back to how they were. I think that's the thing, isn't it? They presumably feel that with a new set of soft tyres, Leclerc can have a go at Bottas. They're doing this for the win, not for a second place. It's basically the
13 seconds behind the pack. Cars are now being allowed to overtake up at the front.
Last time out, yeah. Raikkonen's just had a really, really poor pit stop. The front jack was stuck underneath the car, and in the end, the mechanic holding it had to get pretty much shoved out of the way and take the jack with it. So Raikkonen, a really messy pit stop for him. Daniel Kvyat had a slightly slow one in the Toro Rosso, but everyone has pretty much chosen now to pit, apart from the two McLarens who had already pitted, and they don't want to give up the track position in that midfield battle. Here's Hamilton.
So Ferrari is still behind us.
Yeah, the field has yet to compress. Pretty much everyone took that safety car.
Okay, so that's Hamilton being told the order of play at the moment. He is the man leading the Grand Prix, not just in front of his teammate Valtteri Bottas, with Charles Leclerc in third position, Max Verstappen in fourth, fifth is Carlos Sainz, sixth is Kevin Magnussen, seventh is Lando Norris, eighth is Sergio Perez, ninth is Lance Stroll, 10th is Alex Albon, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Kvyat, Giovinazzi and Raikkonen, the 15 runners. Both Williams are out of the race, so Robert Kubica has retired as well. Vettel is out, Ricciardo is out, Romain Grosjean out of the Grand Prix. And you're in the situation now where you've got Hamilton, Bottas and Leclerc, the three leaders, all on the soft compounded tyre. What is Verstappen on? Is he on the mediums at the moment?
Yeah, he started on a soft Verstappen, so he had to go to the medium. 20 laps to go, the soft tyre will easily make it, based on what Ferrari were doing at the start of the Grand Prix. So, in that case, you'd probably rather be on the soft and have the warm-up when this safety car comes in. The cool temperatures here as well make the warm-up quite hard. When you're under safety car, you've got to really work, particularly at the front, to make sure the temperatures are high. When you hit the brakes at turn 2, you don't want to have a big lock-up and throw away the race at this point.
So we're under safety car conditions here on 5 Live, the Russian Grand Prix. And Hamilton it is who is leading it after, fortuitously, it has to be said, after a safety car intervention because of Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari breaking down. There was controversy at the start of the race for the Ferrari team. Leclerc was told he would be given the lead back and then refused to do so subsequently. In the end, Ferrari worked it out and Leclerc came out in front after the pit stop windows, but then unfortunately for Sebastian Vettel, his car broke down, which is a real shame for the Grand Prix, because not only did it lose one of the front-running cars and ultimately the fastest driver on the circuit in Sebastian Vettel, it also in turn gave the Mercedes the lead fortuitously when the virtual safety car was deployed. But that's the situation we're in now. Hamilton leading from Bottas, and now all eyes are going to be on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in third place, the Monegasque driver, the 21-year-old superstar who's taken the last 4 pole positions in a row to try and attack the 2 Mercedes in front of him in the remaining 21 laps of the Grand Prix when the safety car comes in at the end of this lap.
If Leclerc can win it from here, that'll be super impressive right now. He's got 2 Mercedes in front. Bottas has been slower than Hamilton, isn't as aggressive traditionally in wheel-to-wheel fighting, and he's going to be the first one for Leclerc to try and fight. Hamilton's gone really early and Bottas slides coming out of turn 16.
Through the final two corners, then the race back underway. Big lock up for Max Verstappen. Does he stay on the road? Yes, just about. But Bottas could be under a bit of pressure here from Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari driver might be straight back up into the second place that he gave away with his risky pit stop. Down towards turn 2, he might be a little bit too far back as they get onto the brakes. He's closing. Sells the dummy, not quite enough. That was a really good chance for Charles Leclerc, but he wasn't quite close enough to the back of the silver Mercedes in second place to make the overtake.
No, thought about it, was really close, but not quite there. Still close as they come out turn 3, but not close enough. You've got to be much closer into turn 4 than you do at turn 2, where you can have a bit more of a lunge. But he's just got to keep the pressure on Bottas right now. Bottas looks to be struggling on this first lap. Leclerc's right behind him through turn 5. Turn 13 might be another chance.
Here they come then into the middle sector of the lap, down past the curling centre on the left-hand side that was used for the 2014 Winter Olympics, then past the speed skating arena on their right as they turn right and out onto the dual carriageway that takes them down to the tight right-hander of turn 13. The DRS not available at the moment, the drag reduction system that lets you open that little flap in the rear wing and close in on the car in front. And that will really help Leclerc. He's only 0.4 of a second away from Valtteri Bottas at the moment. He might be close enough to have a look on the start-finish straight this time.
It could be. Bottas is not going to get DRS from Hamilton. He's already over a second away, and Leclerc's still very close to the back of Valtteri Bottas. He's going to have a chance if he can just stay tight to Bottas through these final two corners. 17 and 18, two right-handers, slow to medium speed, and then you're going to get a good launch, which they're doing right now, onto the start-finish line, and Leclerc's close.
Here they come then, down towards turn 2 again, up to just over 200 miles per hour, and the Ferrari of Leclerc is closing here on Valtteri Bottas. Might just be a bit too far away again. Just needs the DRS activation to come in the next couple of laps, and then he can really attack.
He'll get it on the next lap, the DRS, and that, with DRS right now, I think he's past Bottas. He's just got to stay close enough through this lap to have another chance. Bottas is strong.
Up around there will be DRS.
But Leclerc all over the back of him.
Leclerc will feel almost owed this Grand Prix. How he has found himself in third place after having pole position, thinking he was getting the place handed back to him early on in the race, and then his teammate retiring and inadvertently bringing out a virtual safety car that's cost him the lead of the Grand Prix. But the young 21-year-old has a relatively mature head on his shoulders. He constantly says that he's learning, he constantly wants to be correcting himself, and this is only his 6th year of racing cars, full stop. On lap 34 of 53 in the Russian Grand Prix, myself, Jack Nicholls, Jolyon Palmer, and the BBC's chief F1 writer Andrew Benson with you in the commentary box. Glenn Cottingham is down in the pits. Leclerc's dropping away a little bit on this lap from the back of Bottas.
7/10 away, coming in.
1.3, Leclerc 0.8 behind him.
But Bottas getting more and more comfortable now in his Mercedes.
Pierre Gasly and Daniel Kvyat are fighting over 12th place. Gasly has the position at the moment. Max Verstappen in 4th is 1.9 seconds away. Leclerc's got the DRS this time around. Still not quite there. Still not quite close enough to the back of Valtteri Bottas. But Hamilton isn't exactly pulling away from these two either.
No, and Leclerc that time was a little bit further back and got to the same position as he had been the last couple of laps. So he needs to be half a second, 6/10 away from Bottas at the start of the straight. With DRS, with the Ferrari power, he'll have a chance, and he's looking very, very racy right now. The man that took pole felt he was owed the race lead early on, then inherited the net race lead, which turned to be not the net race lead when the safety car was called out and Hamilton had a cheap pit stop to come in and lead. He then gave away track position to Bottas for this set of tyres he's currently on, and now he's got to try and make that back using the soft tyres. DRS down the back straight, but he's too far back to pass Bottas into 13 this time.
Lap 35 of 53.
It's closing a lot though. He's closing with that DRS, and the DRS actually on the back straight will help him get closer to have DRS on the main straight and make the move into turn 2. So Leclerc now is just 6/10, half a second away with a couple of corners to go. He might have a shot if he can just keep it tight through the final few corners.
Here they come then into those final two turns, past the pit lane entry on their right hand side, but they stay out through the final corner on the circuit and out onto the start-finish straight again. There's about 9/10 of a second between them as they come across the line. Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race and the gap goes up to 2 seconds. And Leclerc, he's pretty close this time, down into turn 2. Does he fancy the lunge? No, he went to the inside, but not quite there. If he can get anywhere near...
Norris 15 lap hold option tyre.
Absolutely roared to the back of the pin as they got towards the braking zone, but ultimately a little bit too far back on that go. But Mercedes are really quick in the final sector. That's the issue for Leclerc. He's really close with the DRS on the back straight, and then Bottas can just extend the gap a couple of tenths through 15 to 18, those corners, and Leclerc's got to do a bit more work on the straight. He might have to get a bit aggressive with his overtake and just firing a Ricciardo-style run. Valtteri Bottas, very quick through the first sector. He's looking like he's going to set the personal best lap of the Grand Prix as they now come down towards turn 13 again. He's got the DRS against Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is not really staying with that front fight. He's 1.8 seconds back from it. Carlos Sainz is in 5th position. 6th is Kevin Magnussen, Albon, Perez, Norris, Stroll, the top 10 at the moment. And
let's go strap mode 7. We'll do the saving later. We're a bit more comfortable. Now 2.2 behind.
15, the left-hander, tricky corner off camber, and had to capture side and has fallen away, and he might not have DRS this time on Bottas on the main straight either, so Valtteri Bottas now getting up to pace, personal best lap. Hamilton does the fastest of the race, and Leclerc this time too far back to get anywhere near challenging into turn 2. Yeah, doesn't even get the DRS, so is that the attack from Leclerc? Over, certainly for the time being, or the next couple of laps, but we'll see what the Ferrari driver's got. A note on Nico Hülkenberg is just about to attack Lance Stroll for 10th position in the Renault. They're coming down towards turn 2, and Hülkenberg is very much close enough for an attack. The racing point of Stroll covers the inside line, but Hülkenberg gets the job done on the outside. An absolute dive bomb there from Daniel Kvyat, I think, to try and get past Pierre Gasly.
Give me a face up, Max. Really solid.
Past Gasly number 13.
Massive ding-dong between the two Toro Rossos. We're going on lap after lap after lap, and this time it was Gasly sending one on the inside of Kvyat, but then going way too deep off track around the bollard to rejoin, and Raikkonen sneaks through in the Alfa Romeo. So only 15 runners, and the two Toro Rossos and two Alfas having a good old scrap, but it's the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th out of 15.
Back in that conversation about the Leclerc and Vettel team orders, I feel like we sort of did what actually a good job Sebastian Vettel was doing. If he wanted to, avoid the team orders situation in the early laps, which he did, and didn't want to let Leclerc back through, he had to pull out a gap, and he really did pull out a gap. It was one of the strongest stints that we've seen from Sebastian Vettel in a long time. That was sort of Sebastian Vettel of old.
Yeah, I don't think we underplayed it. We said how many fastest laps in a row he was doing and extended the gap to make it difficult for Leclerc to undercut him. He did a great job. He disfavoured the team orders, but then he could prove to Ferrari why he did that. Whether that will be enough or not, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter now. Vettel's parked up on the side of the road, but he was driving a great race, no doubt about it. In Singapore, he drove a great race as well. His race pace has been good. His qualifying pace hasn't been recently. That's 38 and 53. Hamilton leading the Grand Prix, 3 seconds ahead of Valtteri Bottas. No more pit stops to be made by any of the drivers. Leclerc is third, still only, he's 1.2 seconds back from Valtteri Bottas, so he's not a million miles from DRS range. Max Verstappen is in 4th place, 5th is Carlos Sainz, Magnussen, Albon, Perez, Norris, Hülkenberg the top 10, and then it's Stroll, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Gasly and Giovinazzi, the rest of the 15 runners. Both of the Williams are out of the Grand Prix. Kubica was retired by the team, so one may surmise that something went wrong on George Russell's car, because it was a...
Moved off for turn 13 for Riyadh.
straight on into the wall, and then subsequently Kubica was retired, so perhaps an issue for the Williams team. Vettel out of the Grand Prix, Ricciardo and Grosjean out after contact on the opening lap.
Yeah, maybe a rear brake failure for Russell, so he only had front brakes, and that's why he skated straight on. He certainly had a huge lock-up on his left front on a corner that's not a very big brake. Just happened that it was after the safety car, so you could think that it was cold tyres, but it was still a strange accident, even if it was cold tyres, so you might be right with that one. Leclerc second away. He's closed the gap slightly with his personal best lap of the race. Still not quite within DRS range though this time.
Gets to within 8/10 of a second as they come down into the right-hander of turn 2, but that's without the DRS. Verstappen in 4th place, 2.6 seconds back from that fight. Carlos Sainz doing a good job for McLaren in 5th. Not quite sure what happened to Norris in all of them.
9, you will have DRS.
With the safety car, and that's why Magnussen, Albon and Perez all jumped in, they all went longer, and I think they've taken advantage in that safety car, the same way as Hamilton did, to jump ahead of Lando Norris, but not ahead of Carlos Sainz. Interested to see what Albon can do. Started from the pit lane, he's never just stepped in place, so doing a good job, Alex Albon. Can he get past Magnussen and Sainz in the closing stages? Leclerc's back within DRS range on the back straight, and he's on the fastest first sector on this latest lap, and now the fastest middle sector, and he's pretty close, half a second behind Bottas as they're on the brakes through turn 13.
Got 0.9, he will have DRS.
Bottas being told that he will have DRS, and he is, I would say, closer than he's been before. Charles Leclerc sends it a little deep into the chicane at the end of the lap before the final 2 corners.
Lock up at turn 15, and that might just let Bottas off the hook for another lap.
Half a second quicker than Magnussen.
Just have allowed Bottas to escape a couple of car lengths, and Leclerc does that DRS down to turn 2, 9/10 away, probably a little bit too far.
Here they come into the second corner again. Leclerc, at some point, he might as well just send it, I suppose. There's plenty of room and to make a mistake and go too hot into turn 1, and then he's still going to be in the same position.
And Bottas, not the hardest racer of all of them out there. Would Bottas choose to shunt if Leclerc does send a dive down the inside? We don't know, but Leclerc, he can risk it, as you say. There's runoff on the outside, and if he gets close enough, he's just got to go for it and try and put Bottas off, try and make something happen, because right now he's just a little bit too far away as they come down to turn 2. Still close though through the middle sector, 9/10, and they'll get DRS.
Close to Sainz's DRS. Albon's getting close to yours. They're doing a great job.
Or towards turn 13 again. It's the next sequence of corners at 15 and 16 that Leclerc has just not quite been on it. He's half a second away as they turn into the right-hander of 13. Can he be a little more neat and tidy into the final sector? Here he comes now up this sort of slightly uphill left and right. Hamilton's radio.
So if we just go back into straight 7 boundary under a lot of pressure.
Didn't quite get. Did Hamilton say leave me to it? I think.
Yeah, leave me to it. Strap 7 will be an energy management, so presumably harvesting a bit more energy to have to use if Leclerc passes Bottas to use to defend as well. I think that's what that was about. Hamilton just saying, let me just drive my own race here, I'll do what I want.
Leclerc not close enough this time onto the brakes into turn 2. Hasn't really.
I need to pick up the pace.
Just hold this gap at the moment, that's fine.
Fastest boundary.
Close enough then, but on that time around didn't feel he was close enough.
Yeah, you've all been there, you back out, think you're going to get a better opportunity, and it never comes. Understeers through turn 5, the middle sector is always close, and he gets DRS into the final sector, but then it is just the tight, twisty final sector that Bottas is quicker and can pull that crucial gap, and Leclerc still stuck behind his rival.
So I need to pick up the pace.
If we can just hold this gap for the moment, that's fine. Update you if Leclerc passes boundary.
At the moment, 3.8 seconds the gap Hamilton has over Bottas, and Leclerc sliding a little bit through the middle sector as well. The longer he stays so close to Bottas, the more he's going to hurt his own tyres, and ultimately should be struggling more and more. The tyre temperatures go up, you get less grip, and he'll pull back a bit. Right.
So guys ahead on softer struggling, maximum push now. No lift off, no brakes in.
But at the moment, Bottas driving a tidy race in second.
Lap 42 of 53 as Lewis Hamilton comes across the line to start another lap. Jolyon Palmer, former Renault F1 driver, alongside me, Jack Nicholls, in the commentary box here for the Russian Grand Prix. Live football coming up later today. Leicester versus Newcastle after wins for Liverpool and Man City yesterday afternoon, and then we've got 6:06 after that with Robbie Savage and Emma Saunders, and the Rugby World Cup continues tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, Scotland versus Samoa. That's the next Rugby World Cup commentary here on 5 Live after Wales beat Australia in a thrilling encounter that everybody was pretty much glued to in the build-up to this Grand Prix. Alex Albon's just had a slide. He was right up behind Kevin Magnussen for 6th place, putting him under big pressure, but made a little bit of an error and has now dropped back down to the pit lane. Claire Coffey.
You were mentioning the Williams might have had a problem. Speaking to George Russell, he thinks, the team say they think it might have been a brakes problem, but they haven't confirmed it yet. Also spoke to Daniel Ricciardo, who was obviously very disappointed from retiring. He thought he got off lightly after that crash, but too much damage in the end and had to retire.
Yeah, had a collision on the opening lap, Ricciardo, which was a shame for him. He was hoping that he started in 10th on the grid and said before the race that he was really confident of making some progress and getting a good haul of points in. But at the moment, Renault are set to just get 1 point, with Nico Hülkenberg in 10th place, with Sainz in 5th and Norris in 9th in the McLarens, who they're battling for 4th in the championship. So it looks as though this will be 4th in the championship for McLaren if they can have a good end to the season. Now here comes Alex Albon round the outside of Kevin Magnussen and up into 6th place. That was a nice decisive move from Alex Albon. Magnussen not the easiest driver to pass, but Albon's done it, and now he'll try and chase down.
1.1. If you go HPP1, set position 3, you have 5 pushes.
Chucked in so much speed. Thought he was going to go straight on, but got the car stopped well in his recovery drive continues in the pit lane, now up into 6th place, and only Carlos Sainz in the McLaren separating him from his teammate. Yes, indeed. He's lapping a little slower than Max Verstappen, but he's having to deal with overtaking through the middle order. 4.2 seconds back now from Carlos Sainz, so can he close that in the remaining 11 laps of the Grand Prix? Lando Norris in 9th is under pressure from Nico Hülkenberg in 10th place, as once again Lando Norris, the young British driver in his first season of Formula 1, just seems to get all the kind of bad luck. He was up there or thereabouts with his teammate Carlos Sainz. Sainz made a very good start, but then Norris, with the virtual safety car, lost out, whereas Sainz didn't. And
do this, Nico. You can do this.
the 7th place. Leclerc in 3rd, still 1 second back from Valtteri Bottas in 2nd. 4.3 seconds back from Lewis Hamilton in the lead of the Grand Prix. Here's Hülkenberg's radio for Renault.
You can do this, Nico. You can do this.
Oh, cheers, Mark Saders, engineer. I didn't know I could. Just a bit of G up, but Hülkenberg's right on the back of Lando Norris for 9th position. It's a big fight for Renault v McLaren in the constructors. McLaren, the customer team of Renault, until they switched to Mercedes engines to 2021. But there's a bit of a battle going on, unfortunately for Renault. Carlos Sainz in the other McLaren, as you said, is having a great drive up in 5th. So good in the races this year, Carlos Sainz. His quality pace has been similar to Norris, even slightly slower on average, but his race pace and race runs have been exceptional. He's had a great year, and he's up in 5th, ahead of Albon.
Max, we're losing an abnormal amount of time at turn 13. And he did a really heavy up, or at least let us know you told us that
I don't know. Where was the Corey?
that's for Lewis.
Yeah, there are different cuts as well.
As I was saying, if you have a particular balance, if you let me know, we can sort it. Otherwise, if you're happy, all good.
1 minute 39.5. Norris is in the 1 minute 38, so 6 tenths quicker on the last lap, and Magnussen going wide around the bollards, or not around the bollards, as he should have done down at turn 2 in the runoff. But if you go wide there, strict orders to go around the bollards to avoid rejoining on safely and too quickly, but Magnussen didn't do that. He's in 7th place, got 8th place now. Perez has come through, and he's only got 2.5 seconds to Norris, who's lapping quicker, and bringing Hülkenberg and Stroll with him.
Magnussen is the car in front, he's struggling. Let's go get him.
Ferrari fight is really starting to wane a little bit. 5th is Carlos Sainz, 6th is Alex Albon, who on that last lap took a good 7/10 out of Carlos Sainz for 5th position, so only a couple more laps and Albon will be right on the back of the Spaniard. Sergio Perez is in 7th place, Kevin Magnussen 8th, Norris 9th, under big pressure from Hulkenberg in the top 10. And I don't really understand the Magnussen pace, because they all were behind the safety car, and Magnussen had the pace to pull away from these drivers, but now is getting sort of sucked back in. Here's Norris's radio.
Magnussen, it's the car in front of me, he's struggling, let's go get him.
So that's a nice little, eyes forward message there. Don't worry about Hulkenberg behind you, let's go and overtake the guy in front. And presumably that can be quite good for a driver, that you're not looking in.
Use energy twice on that.
I hope you like that one, man.
Checker, we never had a doubt. Albon.
On turn 2, but he is struggling, Magnussen, and that gap's coming down. That's the radio message Norris wants to hear. Even if he can't pass Magnussen immediately, he'll get DRS, which will help him defend from Hulkenberg as well. Laps to go. This race is going to be over before we know it, and Leclerc still a second and a half behind Bottas and now making no more inroads.
Lance Stroll is in that fight as well, in 11th place, the Canadian. He's in the Racing Point, and he's in 11th position, 7/10 behind Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault in 10th, who's 8th behind Lando Norris in the McLaren in 9th, who's closing in on Magnussen in 8th. So that's all concertinaing together. As I say that, Lance Stroll makes a mistake down at turn 13. Doesn't look like that will have cost him too much time, and he's still there or thereabouts in the fight. The Leclerc-Bottas.
This is a really good lap.
Let's stabilise the car with red A5. The main time to find is in the middle sector. Focus on carrying the minimum.
Doesn't have the pace to really come back and fight them, so the race that was brewing quite nicely has slipped away really at the front of the field.
And as you said earlier, Sebastian Vettel no longer in it, and I'm sure he would have been a factor as well behind his teammate. It was all in almost reverse pace order as it was lying before Vettel's retirement. That allowed Hamilton to lead the race with his shortened length pit stop, and we had a bit of a nothing event at the front because Leclerc just never was quite close enough to pass Bottas. And I have to say, if he couldn't have passed Bottas, he's not going past Hamilton for the win either. So that strategy looking like it's not played out for Ferrari just yet. Still 7 laps to go for Leclerc to do something about it, but it's tough to follow around him.
Nick Hughes, hashtag BBC F1, saying,
Give me everything you have. If there's anything more.
Copy. Team orders. Here's Leclerc's radio.
Give me everything you have. If there's anything more.
Copy. Give me everything you have if there's anything more, says Leclerc in 3rd position, just to finish Nick Hughes' tweet. Thought most didn't like team orders, but when it involves Vettel benefiting or braking, it matters. I think the calmer comment that people are saying is not it's not a celebratory one. It's just a slightly ironic one, given that Vettel broke the team orders and then the car broke down on him. It's difficult to ignore that particular irony. And secondly, I don't think people do like team orders, and it's only really Ferrari that implement the team orders. So as a result, that's why it comes across as the sort of
asking for max power.
Valtteri Bottas was ordered to give the race win to Lewis Hamilton. That was not met very positively.
No. But Bottas did get out of the way. Mercedes are implementing team orders as well. Let's not kid ourselves. Singapore last time out, Bottas told to hold fire, and Hamilton can have a nice, easy pit stop window to go into and try and attack the front three. It's not just Ferrari. Ferrari are making more of a hash of it than Mercedes, because they're doing it in awkward situations for the race win, when there's no one fighting for the title here. Unlike Hamilton last year, fighting Vettel for the title, Bottas helps him out. That's an obvious one. Here, they're just trying to take the race win, and they don't need these complicating matters. On top of it, they've got people disobeying the team orders, which Mercedes don't have either.
That 48 to 53. Hamilton leading the Grand Prix, 5.2 seconds now ahead of Valtteri Bottas.
Laps to go at the end of this one. It's not over yet, mate.
You kind of assumed he was getting it already, but now suddenly he's got to a bit more speed out there and is back within a second to Valtteri Bottas in front. If they'd just given him something more, they should have done that earlier, when he was really close for many laps in a row and almost there for a run down in turn 2. He's now back within 9/10 of a second, and he's got another chance to pass Bottas. Hamilton's now 5 seconds up the road, so this is purely for second place now, because Leclerc's not passing Bottas, then catching and passing Hamilton, but he is now closing to the back of the fifth. Sainz in fifth, now has Albon just a 10th of a second behind him as they come down into the first corner. Alex Albon fighting with Carlos Sainz into turn 2. Can Albon, who started in the Red Bull from the pit lane, get through? Yes, he can. Albon then past Sainz and up into 5th place. This is a nice drive from Alex Albon, 23 seconds back from his teammate Max Verstappen, but up into 5th spot. Not been, difficult to tell as ever from a pit lane drive and a pit lane start, but you can't really knock that. Here's Hamilton's radio.
So we think Verstappen will get a free stop at the end, so he may go the fastest lap.
You get an extra point for fastest lap, which Hamilton has at the moment, but as they just pointed out on the radio, they think Verstappen will go for the fastest lap at the end of the Grand Prix. But yeah, Albon up into 5th place, gets past Carlos Sainz. Not really much more you could ask from him. Yeah, good drive. Pit lane to 5th. Pretty much the same as he did in Belgium as well. Up to 5th, of course, helped by Vettel's retirement, Grosjean and Ricciardo coming together with Giovinazzi at the start, but good drive. He's passed all the midfield drivers, including Sainz, who was clear leader in that battle, and he's done it all very nicely. Done it very nicely at turn 3, round the outside of turn 3 and up the inside into turn 4 from a bit of a way back, and I'm not sure Sainz saw that one coming. Good stuff from Albon.
And Lando, we've checked, everything is fine with the car. Head down, concentration, let's do this.
To 5th place, long way to go to Verstappen. That's Verstappen's free pit stop window to take a fastest lap point attempt at least. But yeah, Albon's done all he was asked to do really today.
So Hamilton leading the race with 4 laps left at the end of this one, and he is 5 seconds ahead of Valtteri Bottas in the lead of the Grand Prix. That little flourish from Charles Leclerc, where he suddenly looked closer again to Valtteri Bottas, has just stepped away a little, and the gap's back up to 1.2, 1.3 seconds. 6 seconds back to Verstappen in 4th, with Albon in 5th. Sainz, Perez, Magnussen, Norris, Hulkenberg in the top 10. Magnussen has now been given a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track, which we discussed at the time. He didn't go through the bollards in the appropriate manner, and that 5-second time penalty is pretty much going to knock him out of the points. But he's just done his best lap of the race, so 3.1 seconds he's got to Lando Norris, and he was 7 tenths quicker on the last lap, so he's found a second win. Now he's been told of that 5-second penalty, and right now it puts him in a dead heat with Lance Stroll in 11th, so 1 point in play, but he is that quicker than Norris, Hulkenberg and Stroll behind, so it's a quality time trial to the end for him. 3 laps to try and secure anything more than 1 point. Kvyat in 12th place, Raikkonen in 13th, Gasly 14th, Giovinazzi in 15th. Just getting a replay of Charles Leclerc once again having a bit of a big old slide coming out through that chicane at the end of the lap that he lost the slide through. Frustration now coming in for Leclerc, 1.7 seconds away from Bottas, and only growing as well, that gap right now. 3 laps to go, and remember Ferrari pitted out of 2nd place. Could have kept him there on a medium tyre, but chose to go aggressive, pit to the soft, lose track position, and as Hamilton did.
Nico, and that's a firm. Just stable, Nico, so shouldn't get any worse.
That'll be on Sunday morning on across the BBC. So always good to go to Suzuka, a wonderful race circuit, and that'll be a fascinating race as well, because if Ferrari can take the fight to Mercedes there, and potentially Red Bull as well, then we're up for a bit of a thriller. And if interestingly, if Leclerc had got past Bottas, Hamilton would have statistically been able to seal the title in Japan, but as it stands, he won't be able to do so mathematically. That's 51 of 53. Bottas on the last lap, 4 thousandths away from taking fastest lap away from Lewis Hamilton, who still holds it. And Verstappen doesn't have a free pit stop to Albon, because Albon's upping his pace. Now he's in clear air, and he's actually
cool down next lap.
More or less cool down.
Push for the fastest lap. So Stappen behind is at 6.6.
What is the fastest lap?
36.3. 36.3.
It is maybe doable, so I will try at least.
Red Bull would, you know, hold Albert back a little bit to allow Verstappen to pit, do the fastest lap and keep the 4th place. They might do. But what's the point to Red Bull right now? Not worth a lot.
No, that's true.
They're going to finish 3rd in the constructors. Would give Verstappen another point in his battle between Bottas, Leclerc and Vettel in the championship.
Can we cool down next lap? More or less cool down. Push for the fastest lap.
So Verstappen behind is at 6.6.
What is the fastest lap?
36.3. 36.3.
It is maybe doable, so I will try at least.
This is interesting because Hamilton's just taken that to 1 minute 35.7 with a new fastest lap that's comfortably seen off Bottas' challenge. Leclerc now, I'm interested to see what he can do. Give himself everything he wants for the fastest lap. Is he quicker than Lewis Hamilton on the same tyre live, straight fight? Who's got the better race pace? We are on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, so Leclerc needs to do it now if he wants to do it on the final lap of the race. Verstappen's not throwing his hat into the ring in the Red Bull. He's not pitted in and he needed to by now if he was going to have an attempt at fastest lap. Albon's just done a personal best, but he's a full second away from Hamilton. You know, it's not a thriller when we're talking on the penultimate lap about who's going to get the fastest lap point, but Leclerc's going for it. Fastest first sector of anyone on this lap. Okay, so the Ferrari is absolutely flying on the penultimate lap of the race as Charles Leclerc tries to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's now coming into the middle sector, still pushing in the battle for 9th, 10th, 11th, but I think Lando Norris is going to hold on to that 9th place, which will become 8th place once Kevin Magnussen has his 5-second time penalty served to him. Magnussen right now is going to finish ahead of Hulkenberg, who's currently 10th, so they're only going to lose 1 place, Magnussen and Haas, to Lando Norris on time. He's still putting in personal best lap, so this is a great effort from Kevin Magnussen actually this Grand Prix. Haas been on the back foot, Grosjean out on the first lap, but Magnussen is set to take a few points. Leclerc, personal best in the middle sector, not as quick as Hamilton, and into the final sector, just losing a little bit more time. Lewis Hamilton starts the final lap of the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi. Leclerc comes across the line and he's about half a second away really from getting that fast lap away from Hamilton, who's driven a good race. It was handed to him, the victory, to a degree, with Sebastian Vettel's retirement, which brought out the virtual scene.
This is great, we've broken DRS to hold behind. So,
one more lap, so Verstappen didn't take the opportunity. So Hamilton being told Verstappen didn't take the opportunity to try and set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. You don't need to push again because the victory is going to be yours if he can just finish this half a lap, and it'll be a nice return to form for Hamilton. 1 in Hungary, 2nd in Belgium, 3rd in Italy, 4th and off the podium in Singapore. This will put him back on the top step, and given his apparent 4-5-10th advantage in pace over Leclerc, what a shame we had that safety car. We would have had Hamilton on the quicker tyre charging against the 2 Ferraris. This was so poised to be a thriller, but we've been denied it by Vettel's car retiring, bringing out the safety car. And this will take Lewis Hamilton's lead at the top of the championship up to 73 points. And all he needs it to be is 75 points, leaving the 79 points, leaving the Mexican Grand Prix. Here comes Hamilton through the final corner now, across the line, the checkered flag falls, and Hamilton is back on the top step of the podium. For the first time in 4 races, it's a Hamilton victory. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Ferrari looks set to win the day, but it's Mercedes that come out on top through a bit of fortune, but Hamilton won't care. He's another step closer to the World Championship title. Across the line in 3rd comes Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen 4th, Alex Albon in 5th position, Sainz in 6th, Perez 7th, Magnussen 8th, 9th for Lando Norris, and completing the top 10, Nico Hulkenberg at the end of the Russian Grand Prix. Victory for Hamilton, again in Russia, his 4th win on this Sochi circuit.
effort, guys. What an incredible job. Thank you so much, everyone. That's exactly what we need. Never give up.
Good strong. P1, P2, silver arrows.
What an effort, guys. What an incredible job. Thank you so much, everyone. That's exactly what we needed. Never give up. Hamilton thrilled with that then. 78 points, the gap he needs after Mexico City if he wants to wrap up the title to his teammate Valtteri Bottas. That was big news for Bottas as well in the championship to a degree. If Leclerc...
You know what came to my mind?
Go, speed! Buffered that gap a little bit. Hamilton, on the radio there, Jolyon Palmer, really happy with that as well. He might be, but he almost seemed like he couldn't believe it.
Well, bear in mind this time last week he was giving the team a dressing down because of their strategy, turning second into fourth. Not acceptable, guys. Well, this time they called it right, Mercedes. Lucky break from the safety car, sure, but the strategy option I think was good considering they didn't have the quali pace of the Ferraris. They did something different, and that medium tyre start is looking good right now. Just gave them the opportunity, the pit stop window as well, and they took it again. Real shame about the safety car, but Hamilton won't mind. His car.
But you know what came to my mind? Go, speed! Come on! They don't want none of this! Come on!
But the Spaniard does a great job to finish in 6th place. We will be handing over to Steve Crossman at the top of the hour for the rest of the afternoon here on 5 Live Sport. As I say, commentary coming up of Leicester versus Newcastle. That's the 4:30 kickoff. We'll also keep you up to date with the rest of the football and the Women's Super League this afternoon. And a reminder that in the Rugby World Cup earlier on, Wales beat Australia 29-25.
They don't want none of this! Come on!
Hamilton's getting more psyched up the further around the cool-down lap he goes.
And now he's pulled in. Very happy, Lewis Hamilton. He was chuffed to finish second in qualifying yesterday, and now he's made full use of it by winning the Grand Prix.
So Hamilton climbs out of the car, puts the steering wheel back in, stands on the front of Incitement.
Guys, good run. Sorry,
Good job, Alex. Good recovery from the pit lane to P5. That's pretty decent. So, well done.
6th Formula One World Championship. He extends his lead at the top to 73 points over Valtteri Bottas' teammate Charles Leclerc into the Ferrari engineers, and there's going to be a debrief for Ferrari. Sort of all's well that ends well. Ferrari worked it out. They decided to do it later in the Grand Prix, the swap of position that they were planning on doing earlier. But I think there's still going to be quite a discussion to be had.
Well, they switched Vettel to Plan C, which maybe Vettel knew was the undercut for Leclerc. And ultimately, we don't know if Vettel would have accepted that or not because he didn't finish the race.
Cheers for Hamilton then, as we are going to hear from the top three in a moment. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Charles Leclerc. As Hamilton removes his helmet, they will be talking to Paul di Resta, the former F1 driver, as they are down underneath the grandstand in Parc Fermé. Hamilton removes.
You can see the race winner here, taking all his balaclava, and Charles Leclerc, a great champion of the future, but obviously coming forward. Lewis, congratulations on another race win here in Russia. That's Mercedes dominated all of these races here since we've come here in 2014. But you guys were up against it, you were pushing hard, you did something very different on strategy. When Ferrari had that issue, the perfect storm, you capitalised on it, didn't you?
Yeah, firstly, just an incredible job for all the guys here this weekend, not giving up, trying new things, pushing forward, always trying to be innovative and just never giving up, you know, and that makes me incredibly inspired.
Yeah, good job. That's my bad. I should have been ahead of a couple, at least the Perez or the Ford City or whatever it is. I should have been ahead of him and ahead of Max. My bad. But apart from that, good job. get the position. So, on to jump.
We've got a great crowd today as well. This mindset that you're in, Lewis, generally we wouldn't see you quite as happy getting on the front row as you were yesterday, and then obviously to go out there and get the job done when you struggled to get on top of Ferrari. What now? Are you thinking about the championship only, or do you think it's about winning races all the way to the end of this? Honestly, I try not to, 17, I try not to think too much about the championship and one race at a time, one step at a time. And I think that's what I think collectively that's what we've been working on. Obviously it's getting harder and harder as the season goes on. But no, just one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. We don't want to stumble. And but of course, we got to keep on putting performances like this in. And I know the boss is back in Stuttgart, we're super happy with today. The team are absolutely rock solid. You can hear it from everybody how excited you are about it. Man. It feels like a long time coming, but it feels like the first time as well. So that's why it feels special. Enjoy. Valtteri, P2, I guess, starting from P4. You can't be too disappointed with that. Obviously, Lewis had track position, and it was bringing it home to the end.
Yeah, I think starting fourth, finishing second is not bad for sure. It's not a win, but as a team for us, it is a big win. You know, it's been tough few races, so it's good to get back to these kind of results. And I had a good race myself. Just first stint was like a bit of pace, couldn't quite keep up. Although just stuck behind one of the McLarens in the beginning, but second still felt decent and just have to keep Charles behind and his spirit. So not too bad.
You had that Ferrari in your mirrors. Honestly, did you expect them to have that race pace they did today? Because that's been a strong point of the Mercedes over the past Grand Prix.
Yeah, we thought we should have a good race pace for today, and we believe we can do it. And yeah, we really need to raise our game in the qualifying now, but race pace is okay and have fun.
Thank you. Charles, I'll let you finish the conversation with Lewis. The perfect storm happened for Ferrari. Obviously they lost the car for reliability. You finished P3. I know you're going to be critical of how it happened, but at the same time that's a podium finish.
Yeah, I mean, at least we are quite consistent, so it's good to be back on the podium. A shame for the team to not have the second car up here, but yeah, I mean, on our side, an okay race. Not Mercedes are still very quick in the race runs, a lot quicker than compared to qualifying. So we need to work on that to try and understand and improve on that for the next races.
We heard you on the team radio saying you wanted the spot back.
Well done, Checker, great job.
7.
Good job, guys.
We would have been unlucky there. I think we managed to recover and then go good quick.
Yep, copy that, Checker, yep. Yeah, agree there.
On to the next one, I guess. You can look back and the race performance has certainly been increased, hasn't it? It looked very strong.
Yeah, we were quite quick. I think we definitely had the pace to finish in front of Valtteri, but it was quite tricky to follow. As soon as I was getting around 1.5 seconds behind him, everything will overheat and it will be quite a difficult time for us. So yeah, third today is the best we could have done, unfortunately, with a safety car. Well done.
So there are our top 3. Lewis Hamilton victorious, Valtteri Bottas second, Charles Leclerc in third, and that now gives Lewis Hamilton a 73-point lead at the top of the championship after another victory. Heading to the next race in Suzuka, we'll have the Checker Flag podcast available to download later on once we've done it, and you'll be able to get all the reaction and hear from the top 3 again, and we'll go through everything in detail. There'll be quite a lot to digest. Jolie and Palmer, your final thoughts from that Grand Prix?
Strategy won it, the same as last week, 1-2 for the different team, really. It's just another safety car. It came down to Sebastian Vettel, that one moment, lost the K in his engine, and had to park up. We lost the Ferrari from the fight, and we lost the race at the front.
Let's hear from Toto Wolff, boss of Mercedes. Claire.
Well, Toto, congratulations, a big smile on your face. What a job from the team.
Yeah, I'm just so happy. It shows you, even when you have a deficit, even when things don't go as you hope they should go, you can still win, right?
It will be P9, Kevin, so you lost one position because the penalty. You finished P9 because of your laps at the end. You pulled it out and beat Hulkenberg by a second. Fantastic. Way to hold on.
Soon to thank you very much. Which that was stupid, idiotic Stuart. We would be a thanks a great job, guys, fantastic. You know, thanks Kevin, great job in driving. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. What a load of.
You know who is the.
Andrew Benson, we'll get a last word from you, shall we? I can see you're tapping away your race report, so everyone can read that later on the BBC Sport website.
You can read it now, actually, Jack.
Have you posted it already?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive stuff. What did you make of the Grand Prix? What are you taking? What are your headlines from it?
Well, it was a slightly frustrating race in many ways, wasn't it? Because it was boiling up to a really tasty sort of second half of the race with Leclerc ahead of Vettel, Leclerc nursing a grievance, Vettel probably nursing a grievance too, Vettel wanting to prove he was faster, Hamilton coming at them both with fresher tyres, but then that never happened because Vettel retired and the VSC came out and that handed Hamilton the lead. I think the fallout from this one is going to go on a long time. There's going to be lots of question marks asked of Ferrari after this race. What were they playing at the start with the strategy? Why did Vettel ignore the team orders? Vettel will argue that he was quicker in those opening laps, but of course Leclerc will say, well, I was behind you, my tyres got destroyed, I couldn't go any faster. So Leclerc very pointedly then said, I will always trust the team. I wonder whether he'll trust Sebastian Vettel again after today.
Okay, interesting stuff. So an awful lot of fallout to come. As I say, we'll have a proper discussion of it on the Checker Flag podcast, which you can get on BBC Sounds later on this evening. The drivers here are just getting out onto the podium. It's going to be the top step again for Lewis Hamilton. He extends his championship lead. Surely now a sixth world title is a matter of weeks away. To continue the rest of the afternoon here on 5 Live Sport, we're going to go to Steve Crossman. Afternoon, Steve.